So today we're going to rip the veil off of motherhood. And we're going to talk about how we can create a new definition that actually works in the context of our real lives. To join me on this journey are two dynamic women. First we have Terry Helwig. And Terry is the author of Simon & Schuster's newly published memoir, Moonlight on Linoleum, A Daughter's Memoir. In addition to writing plays, articles, and other work, she has a master's degree in counseling psychology with a diverse knowledge of dreams, mythology, and depth psychology. Terry has been an innovator of and leader of women's gatherings, workshops, and tours abroad, and she's the creator of the Thread Project, One World, One Cloth, an artistic endeavor in which thousands of threads sent by people from every continent were woven into 7 magnificent tapestries that have hung many places, including the UN and St. Paul's Chapel across from Ground Zero. How exciting. Welcome, Terry. And we also have with us Kyoko Gasha, who was born in Tokyo in 1963 and came to the U.S. as an exchange high school student, and then later graduated from Sophia University in 1987. Kyoko entered TV Tokyo in 1987 and became a broadcast journalist. From 91 to 92, she was a Fulbright journalist at the University of Michigan, where she had her daughter Anna. She returned to TV Tokyo, covered foreign affairs, feature stories, and became a documentary director. In 2001, hired by Reuters, she moved to New York with her daughter. Affected by the terrorist attacks at the World Trade Center on September 11th, she moved 7 times before finally settling down in the city. In recovery from the aftermath of September 11th, Kyoko started to make documentaries again, working as a reporter for Reuters during the week and on the weekends creating her film, Mother's Way, Daughter's Choice, which was finally finished in 2009. I'm going to start with the panel, and I want to talk about an ideal that Terry talks a lot about and mentions on her book, the idea of between a mother versus the mother. And how one, as Terry says, is a human, mortal, and fallible, but the mother is an archetype is actually pretty dangerous. So I'm going to ask each of you to kind of share your thoughts about a mother versus the mother as it relates to your experiences.
The mother is that, it's the archetype that is where you want to feel like you belong and you're nurtured, and it's this need that we have to belong. The problem is when we put this archetype onto a mortal human being. And Kimberly's giving you the aspect of that from trying to be the perfect mother. And what I am more looking at it is from having to separate out the mother from a healing perspective when you have had difficult mothering. And that was part of my healing process. This memoir came out 2 weeks ago, and so I've been going around speaking to it, and people, I'm being asked consistently, how did I overcome my childhood and how did I not have more bitterness and anger about it? And I really think part of this dialogue is helping me realize I had to separate out the mother from a mother. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of background and know the kind of the struggle that I had and the reason why. My mom was 14 when she married, and 11 months later she had me at the age of 15. So she was a child having a child, and she did not have to get married. She chose to get married to leave her family and her mom. So we have a generational, chain going on here. By the time my mom was 27, she'd been married 3 times, and she was raising 6 girls, and still had 3 more marriages in her future. My mother's second husband was named Davy, and I called Davy Daddy. He was my primary father figure. My sisters and I loved Davy so much. And he was a very good man, but he had the transient work in oil fields. And so our family had to move every year or 2, and sometimes we even moved more than that. For a number of those years, 8 of us lived in a trailer that was 50 feet long and 10 feet wide. And so 8 of us were in 500 square feet. And every time our trailer rolled into a new town, I would be so hopeful that my mom would be able to find happiness. And I'd be so hopeful that maybe things could turn around for our family. And certainly my mother was a very complex woman, and in the book I liken her to a wild rose who struggled with marriage and motherhood and sometimes sobriety. And with Daddy traveling so much, Mama put me in charge of my sisters because I grew up the oldest of 6 girls in the American Southwest. And she would find company and solace in the local watering holes in town, which were the bars. And this is a pastime that she called visiting Timbuktu. Well, and sometimes Mama brought her consorts home. And I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs out of here because I am in 4th grade here. And I am starting to see this dichotomy of this mother that I want and what's going on. And there starts to be some longing and confusion. It was during this time that I woke to see Chief climbing out of Mama's bedroom window, either because Daddy had come home sooner than Mama expected, or because Mama awoke to hear noises in the driveway that she attributed to Daddy. In actuality, the noises Mama and Chief heard may have been 2 men trying unsuccessfully to repossess our Ford. I had never seen anyone climb out of June Cleaver's window on Leave It to Beaver. Something had begun to feel off-kilter to me, and I loved Mama and I loved Daddy, but I disdained that middle place between them, where Mama opened the door to her bedroom, to other men. I longed for Mama to become less like Aphrodite and more like Hestia, who is the archetypal mother and goddess of hearth and home. If only Mama were more like other mothers or my grandmothers, this longing would grow into a quintessential thorn that pierced both Mama and me. So this book is a lot about my struggle to understand my mother as I watched her life spiral downward. And this was despite her very genuine attempts, I think, to try and better herself. And I loved her deeply, but I didn't want to grow up to be like her. I wanted to live a different life. And so I had to separate out this archetypal longing for belonging and nurturing from this mortal mother that I had. And so I don't think our circumstances have to define us. Our mother does not have to define who we grow up to be. And I never wanted to be a hostage to my life story. The biggest lesson I learned growing up was that even if others abandon you, you must never abandon yourself. So even if others abandon you, you don't have a lot of control over that as a young child. But you must never abandon yourself. We have control over that. And especially as adults, we have control over that. And that's the message I hope people take away from this. And so I began to see my mom as this mortal woman, a mother who struggled to stay afloat. But for my own healing, I had to find the mother elsewhere. I had to find this sense of belonging in nature, inside of myself, and in raising this lovely daughter that I have over here named Mandy. Because in remothering her, in mothering her, I felt like I remothered myself. So that's my story of how I see the myth of motherhood.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for eWomen for this opportunity. I am leaving for Japan tomorrow for my next film, so I just barely made it for this opportunity. So I want to thank you for that and thank you for this opportunity. And I want to show you my DVD. This is the DVD about the first movie I made, Mother's Way, Daughter's Choice. Actually, when I started making this film in 2004, I had no idea I was making a movie about my own mother and my own daughter. I just wanted to make a movie why all these Japanese women leave their own country to achieve their goals in New York City, because I met so many wonderful Japanese women, especially after September 11th. I have to be on TV every day, but my house was on Park Place and very close to the World Trade Center. I just couldn't go back there. I had nothing to wear, not even pajamas or nothing. So all these Japanese women helped me out so that I can wear something, so that I can be on TV and I can keep working. And then that was a wonderful experience, so I thought I can make a movie out of it when my life is settled after 7th move. And I start interviewing all these people, why they left their own country to achieve their goals here. But each single one of them mentions about the influence of their mothers. And somehow I thought it is not only just the idea that we leave our own country and feel guilty, maybe there's something about the motherhood that's really affecting our own lives. And I wanted to really expand that. And then what I found out about the influence of the mothers, especially coming from an Asian country, there are so many things are expected as being a mother. Of course, you have to bake every day, and you have to make 3 meals a day, and all kinds of things. And then that was my mother's generation. And then they were able to do it because they were housewives. But in my generation, it's the first generation maybe to be having a full-time job and becoming a full-time mother. And I was one of the first reporters at my company in Japan to be a mother and also a full-time reporter. I couldn't do it. It was just too difficult for me because I wanted to be the mother and the reporter at the same time. And I just couldn't do it. So I said, maybe the next 2 or 3 years, maybe I will change my position from the broadcasting department to a sales department. Then I have a 9-to-5 job, and then maybe I can be the best mother at nighttime for my daughter. I did, and I didn't like it at all. Because I had a passion to be a journalist, and here I was so miserable. I was a good mother, but I just didn't feel any passion toward my work. And I just didn't know what to do. And then the Reuters said they need a reporter here in New York. And I said, okay, maybe this is the chance for me to go, because I always wanted to work in New York. And my daughter was 8 at that time, so we decided to come here. But right after I came here in 2001, April, and then September 11th happened, less than 6 months. So my mother said, why you're not coming home? And I said, I just arrived here, and I was about to venture my new life, and I just don't want to give up my new adventure or challenge. And when I go back there, maybe I have a story to tell to the Japanese people. And then my mother understood. And since then, my mother gradually started to change. My mother was very rigid, very traditional. And because she was traditional, she wanted to go overseas, she wanted to explore something, but she couldn't do it because she had her family there and everything else. But then because she had a daughter like me, she was more exposed to foreign cultures and other races, and she began to change. And it was pretty fascinating to see her change after I hit 40 and then living here. That her attitude toward my daughter, who is now 18, is totally different from the attitude that she had to me. She was so, how should I say it, controlling. So she didn't want me to talk too much because I'm supposed to be a very quiet girl when I was growing up. But now my mother is very open-minded for my daughter to have her own opinion. So I just can't see the same person in my mother. So what I learned making this film is that it's not only the daughters who are influenced by the motherhood, but it is also the mothers who can be influenced by the daughters. And then in my movie, I asked my daughter, do you want me to be at home? Do you want me to stay at home so that I can be a better mother? And then she said, no. In my whole life, you've been working. You'll be a totally different person if you stop working. So please don't do that, or something like that in that film. And our relationship was pretty good up until she went to college this year. Now this is the hardest time. She's 18. She's trying to find her own voices. But somehow, I have this controlling part of me. Suddenly I found out from my mother, and I want to go to her, and I want to be her Facebook friend, so I know it's quite amazing. And so I think now I am on the second stage. Now she's becoming an adult. So I think the journey continues, no matter how long. And I don't know, it's going to take a long time because I am going to be her mother the rest of her life, and my mother is going to be my mother the rest of her life. So I think the journey continues, and I'm so interested to hear your opinion about your motherhood or your experience with your mother or your own daughters. Thank you very much.